There we go. Good afternoon. This is Dawn DeSoro from Fidelity Photos on location. So glad to see you today. Hoping that you're having an amazing day on this beautiful afternoon. I am here with Sarah, and she's the owner of Simple Sweet Sights. She's a musician, and she plays the viola, and she's also a yoga instructor using yoga and meditation in her daily practice, which is very admirable and awesome way to start your day. In 2019, her creative mind blossomed into Simple Sweet Sights, which is the name of her business. Her mission is to support small businesses and startup companies by having beautiful custom website design as an accessible necessity. Sarah prides herself in a unique design approach that leaves you, the business owner, with an efficient, effective, and stunning website to represent your business. And what I have to say about that is I can say firsthand, if you've checked out my website, Sarah is the designer, and it was an incredible process. And I now have a website that I'm extremely proud of. And I thank Sarah and Simple Sweet Sights for making that happen for me.
Thank you so much for choosing us to do it. It was a great process. I love working with artists, which you absolutely are. And the entire process from beginning to end was just so much fun. Your photos are beautiful and your input was so much appreciated. So it was really cool seeing the final product after it was done.
Thank you. Yeah. And I feel like it's a website that is dynamic, that can change at any time. And that's one of the things that I love about it. It could grow as I grow. But let's talk about Simple Sweet Sights and how in your bio, you said that it was a creative process that kind of blossomed. So what inspired you to start Simple Sweet Sights?
So in 2019, I created the website for Island Exclusive Entertainment, which I was a partner for. I'm also a musician. I play viola. So it took a couple years. I mean, I had a website and I was working on it. So I was learning the back end of the program that I use, which is Wix. And I began to master it. And I was networking for Island Exclusive Entertainment, going to these different groups, meeting people, fellow business owners, colleagues. And I noticed that there was a very high demand for quality websites. So it's so important to have a website that looks great, because us as consumers, as shoppers, we are going around and clicking on these links that you find on Google. And if you go to a site that looks like it's not being maintained or it doesn't look good, you're most likely going to just move on and click the next link on the list. So I just thought it was very important to have a service accessible and affordable. Affordable is very key, because websites tend to be on the more expensive end, which as a startup or a small business, usually it's not in the marketing budget. So I just wanted to bridge that gap. And
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I'm thinking marketing budget. As a startup, who even has a marketing budget, right?
It's zero. It's -5.
Yeah,
we don't. It's so I use Wix because it makes it affordable. So it's a template-based web program. But the thing is, it does take time to learn how to do it. So there's a very important decision we need to make as business owners. What can I keep on my plate and what should I probably delegate? And common feedback that I get, especially from people that have tried Wix before, it's not impossible. It's not that you can't do it. It's more that they took 6 months playing around with it, trying to learn it, and it still doesn't look the way they wanted it to look. And they would have rather just paid somebody to just get it over with and do it for them. So that's kind of where I wanted to bridge the gap and just have that service there, because I did notice too, a lot of web developers, they turn down those small projects because they're on the $10,000 and up level for those bigger businesses. So there really is a hole in the market for that. So I'm really proud to be able to offer that service to other businesses.
And I like what you said, because when I first started out in my first business, which was health coaching, I got a templated website, which was not Wix based, but kind of supposed to be user friendly. And what I basically did was change 2 photographs, put my company name on it, and called it my website. And it was pretty enough because somebody else created it, but I never felt that it reflected my brand. And it also wasn't something that I felt comfortable changing, I don't do the coding and all the other things behind the scenes. So it would take me hours and hours just to try to figure out how to post a recipe or whatever.
Yeah.
And like finding you, because then I had my photography website, which I'm not going to say the name of the host because I don't want to bash anyone. But it just was not. I just felt like it was not the polished brand that I wanted. I didn't feel like it was up to the caliber of the work that I produce. And then when I met you at that networking event, it was like so exciting to have someone just be able to listen. I think that's one of the greatest values that you bring, is that you listen to the customer in such a way, in such a depth, that you really want to kind of put on their brain, so to speak, so that you can generate something that is really what their brand is.
Yeah, no, I find it so important to really get in the client's head and basically approach it as if you were going to design the website yourself, what would it look like? And that's what
Exactly.
I want to do for you. So I have that brainstorming meeting with the client. That's always step 2, which I know we're getting into the process later, but I have where we kind of just exchange and brainstorm, and I try to extract the vision from my client's brain, and then I try to replicate it.
And it's true. And that's why the title of this, when I was setting up this this meeting, is Meet the Designer, because you really are an artistic designer in your own right. Even though kind of website is a little bit scientific, knowing where to put things, but it's really a creative process. And I think you do a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So now that, we agree, we were talking about how it's important to have a website, and I just want to go back to that. I think it's really important for people to have a website as well. A lot of people have either an Instagram feed, which is awesome, or a Facebook page, which is great. But having that, domain and that site, really, what I feel, and I know you've said this before in conversations we've had earlier, legitimizes the business. It makes it like, this is a real deal. Like, we're not, just playing around. We really have a business. And as brick and mortar kind of becomes not as important and people are more remote, I think it's important that our websites are up and running and reflect what we want to reflect.
Absolutely. I mean, when I'm designing, I just really approach it from the consumer's perspective, because we're all consumers, we're all shoppers, and I design as if I were going onto that website. What would I want it to look like? What would make it trustworthy for me? What information needs to be on there so I understand what that business does, what services, how do I get in touch with them, things like that. Very easy to find, very straightforward. That's why it's called Simple Sweet Sites.
I know. I was just gonna say, like, what is your philosophy and why did you pick the name? And that is you. You like to cull down the stuff that's not necessary. Yeah. And I know that taking someone like me that's very creative and trying to, and I appreciate all of your patience, to cull down all the extra that's not necessary and just make it like, what do we need it to say so someone will call? Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that I remember you saying to me, is we wanted to make my website appealing enough that someone would want to have the conversation with me, because getting to know me and having that conversation of what my photo experience is what's going to have them take the next call to action. Because the website is just a kind of a stepping stone. Would you agree?
Yeah, you want to get them on the phone. Basically, what you want to do is lead them to calling you and setting up an appointment, because especially with your service, working with you as a person is what's important for them to know. And you want to see right away if it's going to click. So that's
exactly.
You want to lead them into the phone call.
And I like what you said before, which I never thought of it till you actually said it. The people are earning your trust. It's your first impression as your face of your business, but also, can I trust that this person, this business is going to take care of me in whatever it is that I want?
Yeah.
whether it's widgets or headshots or whatever. So I like that. And then, so what's your approachable? You in your bio, you said that you're accessible, approachable. What do you mean in simple, sweet sites? What's that philosophy?
So approachable as in Wix is very easy to use. So at the end of the process, I actually have what I call a Wix 101 training. And so I keep, which is very unique, actually, I keep the login and the domain under the client's username, like I don't take their online footprint. So at the end, I like them to have the option to fix things and update things on their own. So I log in with them via Zoom call or in person and walk them through the changes that they could make, whether it's swapping out a photo, changing text, things that they won't need to rely on me for if they don't want to, things they should be able to change on their own if they choose. So
and that's awesome, especially with someone like me. My photos, as I keep walking towards mastery, I feel like my photos always get better or have a different reflection of whatever the experience may be seasonally. Yeah. And having the ability to swap out photos is super easy for me to do without interrupting your flow of what you're doing. But you've come to my rescue when I know that I'm like spinning my wheels and I'm like, I need something special. And then it's always great to have that.
Yeah, no, it's always a resource too. So another purpose for a website is a resource if you choose. So just to even see that you're updating the photos, that serves as inspiration for your potential clients or your current clients as well. So maybe if you had a layout of 10 photos, and then you swap out a couple and then they say, oh, I didn't realize she did this as well, so it kind of just creates a gallery of what's possible, because maybe you didn't click the first time, but the second time it does.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. So let's talk about what the process is. So, people meet you, now we're going to be doing more live events, but say maybe somebody's listening or they're watching or they find you on Instagram. What would be the process for them once, they're like, I want to know more. I think it's time for me to launch my website.
Yeah, so I either have a booking link on my website on the contact page, or you can shoot me an email. Basically what I do is set up just a 15-minute intro call, which is always free. Basically what we do is we just discuss what the client's vision is, and then I communicate how I would meet their needs. And then if we think that it's a match, then what we do is we go through the contract and deposit process. And then the next step would be a longer brainstorming meeting. So that can be remote, that can be in person, depending on the location. And what we do, there's no time frame on that, but typically it's around 45 minutes, maybe an hour. And then that's the time that I really extract the vision and we get more in detail. I communicate what I need to proceed. From there, we set up a Google Drive folder, and that's where I ask the client to drop in any photos that they want to use. If there's any missing holes in photos, by the way, I just want to make mention, I do use stock photos in a mindful way that it doesn't look like it's a stock photo. So we kind of tastefully do that. And then, so
that's awesome, because sometimes people are concerned about not having enough content. So that's a great way to, be able to fill the gaps in a way that, like you said, doesn't look like your typical stock photo.
Yeah. And especially the content creation portion, I approach, again, the simple, sweet sites mentality is not to get overwhelmed with the content creation, because I don't ask, even for a bio, for example, I don't ask the client to prepare more than 3 or 4 sentences, because from the consumer perspective, if you're going on somebody's website, are you really going to read that? Probably not. So I always say, just get right to the point. Bullet points are great. Lists are great. Just very simple. Like if you have a service or a product, just give me like a 1-sentence explanation. Just prepare it as if you were reading it yourself and didn't know what it was. Straightforward, to the point, move on. So what is nice about that is it presents the services in such a way that it's digestible for the viewer, but it's also not overwhelming for the business owner to prepare, because again, too, the reason that they're delegating this project is because they probably don't have the time to do it themselves. So you also
exactly
pages worth of content.
And I like what you said. So when you're talking about content, you're talking about like the narrative portion or the explanations, or like you said, the bio. And I know that I'm like smiling as you're talking because I'm remembering the process, and you have it laid out in such a nice, smooth way. And I'm just remembering that like the bio probably jammed me up for like 3 months, and it didn't have to, but
Yeah.
it's true. Like we get caught up sometimes as business owners in whatever we're working on, but also as humans we get caught up in like, oh, I don't know what to say, and it's great to simplify it. And you're coming with the perspective of the consumer, which as owners we don't sometimes we, like, especially me, like trying to jam so much information because we're so excited about what we do, not necessarily thinking that the consumer just wants to know, how much does it cost? Where do I find you?
Right.
How do I do it? Where do I park? They don't care about the rest. So it's awesome. And so then you basically go through this brainstorming process. I remember that I really loved that part of it because we got really into the creative part, and you designed some colors. You gave me a brand kit, which
Yep.
I still use today, which is awesome. Yes. And then once you have your folder and you receive your content, then what can the client expect?
So from there, I'm able to just run with preparing the draft website. So I create the login under the email of their choosing, because again, they get to
Keep
have
it, which is key.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so what I do is I design. If I have any questions in the meantime, we communicate, but I'm usually just able to run with it. And then within 2 to 3 weeks, as long as I have all the content that the client wants represented on the site, I can have the draft ready. So
It's awesome.
yeah, that's a
Yeah,
pretty
that's awesome. And like I said, with me, you were extremely patient. I think, I don't know, I don't hold the record, but it's about 6 months before we got ours launched. Is that right?
Yeah, and it depends too on the person. Like I always try to communicate too that I don't like to pressure and put any additional stress on the business owner. If you're in a rush for it, and 2 to 3 weeks is great and you have everything perfect, but you weren't really in a super rush. You said, I'd rather it be what I want it to be. Let's let the creative process happen organically and naturally. And when it's done, it's done. And it ended up beautiful,
Yes. And
because
also it was great because you gave me the feedback of horizontal images, which I wasn't shooting with I'm a portrait photographer, which is portrait up and down, and landscape is so impactful. So now that's, because you taught me about that, and then I got to visually see it when you did my draft. Now I always shoot landscape as well, because there's always that extra pow, from something that's different. So, working with you, I have to say, was a pleasure. And of course, I always say that you are my official website developer forever. And I worked in a big corporate, hearts. I worked in a big corporate world for a long time. And, I don't know how, but, the CPAs usually, I was the CPA at the time, and they're usually the website person as well. I don't know how that connects, but we're usually in charge of IT. And I don't know how that kind of became the story, but I didn't really know anything about IT. But I know that when I was in bigger corporate worlds, the IT people owned the website.
Right.
And you had to go through, and like, it was a great mystery as to how you could change, the donate now button or whatever you needed. And having the ability to go in on my own, under my own website. And, right now this podcast is going to be part of the On Location page. I can just go in and pop that, throw your, click it to Vimeo and put your bio picture in, and we're good. And that is a freedom that I think is really great for business owners that want that ability.
Yeah.
But also you're approachable and accessible for the business owners that just want, to update on I don't know. What would you say? Is it like, mine is dynamic because that's the nature of what I do with being a visual creator. But what do you think like a regular business owner would be good at updating or refreshing 6 months, a year, once they have it launched?
I mean, it really just depends on the business. Like if you have a restaurant, that might be more likely to have frequent updates. A photographer might want to freshen up their photos every once in a while, but I have even some fitness instructors, they kind of just put their services up there and they're like, cool, this is what I do. And we'll adjust it as they add and take away services or change their direction. But other than that, that kind of stays kind of stagnant. So, I mean, I say, if you don't touch it, if you're a business that is kind of just like okay with what it looks like and you're just leaving it there, it probably should be looked at in a year, because you might want to freshen it up.
Yeah, you might want to freshen up, but pretty much if you're good with your logo and other your colors, your branding, and also what I like is with Wix, and you can, you help the customer do all this stuff. You can have the Instagram feed plugin or so there's live feeds that are possible that can automatically refresh the page.
Yes, exactly. That's a little tidbit and a little trick I like to put on there because it gives the illusion that you're constantly updating it. So whatever is on Instagram, it automatically uploads, as well as Google reviews. I actually just talked about this on my Instagram page today.
I know, I saw it, and I don't have that on there yet, and I'm just starting to get my Google reviews. So I was going to reach out to you and find out how I do that, because I think that's great to be able to have that dynamic, I guess, because for me, like I said, being a visual creator, I like things. I feel like I'm always moving and things are always changing, evolving. So I like that. And I love when I go on my website and it says, hold on, this Instagram is going to show awesome photos soon or whatever, as it's like feeding. And it also has the ability to gallery, like there's different settings for the feeds, which is nice too, because you could take it with your own design in mind. So it's awesome.
That's really why I love Wix. There's so much that can be customized on it. And that's why, in my mind, it is just the way to go. It integrates pretty much anything,
And it is simple.
Yeah.
Like from the perspective of, would I be able to create it organically from the start? No, that's why I needed you. But it's simple enough for me to be able to say, oh, I want to add a YouTube feed or whatever. And it's pretty easy. I might not be able to do all the fonts and make it as smooth as you do. So that's where I rely on you as being the expert. But for quick things, it is simple, because I've worked with 2 other website providers before, and I find that Wix is the easiest one so far. And I like the way they have different ways to parallax scroll and make it really fancy. I mean, I've seen some of the designs that are out there and they're pretty incredible. I think it's limitless.
It is. It's very limitless. And what's nice too is it's not anything that I have on anybody. It's just the fact that I've been working with Wix for so many years, and I've even kind of grown with it. And as they've made their advancements and their updates, and I kind of just am able to get to the end results quicker just because it's what I do, So
exactly right. You're the expert, right? Like you could take your
at the end, and like they can do it themselves after it's been designed.
Exactly. And like, you could take your own selfie headshot that you can use for your bio, or you could count on the expert that's going to go and make sure the lighting is perfect and, the outfit is right or whatever. Same thing with you. Like I knew in my head that I wanted, like I gave you were so awesome. You had me show me what you like. What do you like out there in the world? Like what appeals to you as a consumer or as a photographer? So I sent you a whole bunch of, this is what I like. And you were able to kind of mush it all up in a ball and spit it out and be like, oh, and right. I was just like, oh, I love it so much. And so that was so great, because in my head, I knew what I wanted at the end, but I won't lie. I think we launched a year ago. I probably would still be plugging along here and there, trying to make it.
Yeah, well, you're trying to balance running your business as well as learning a new program. It's kind of like where you just have to delegate certain tasks.
Exactly. And I know I said this when we were together on a conversation club the other day. For me, it was so important. And I actually didn't really realize how important it was till I was proud of my product, meaning my website.
Mhm.
And then once I was proud of it, I was like, oh, just go to my, just Google me, go to my website. Where before it was more like, oh, you can go to my website,
Yeah.
So that I think as being the kind of the first impression of your
Mhm.
business, it's so important to be proud of it.
Yeah.
And you create that. So you create trust, pride, you create value, you create incredible designs, you really tune in to the vision of the person. You even pull out the vision when somebody doesn't even know what their vision is.
Yeah, basically what I try to do is I have this branding sheet where I basically have some leading questions where it's a way to, for somebody that says they don't have their why or their mission, it's just a question that will lead them into why do you do what you do? Because again, I'm trying to get your soul onto the website, and in
Exactly.
your why this is your passion and why you do what you do. Um,
Right.
it's
Why are you working till midnight to deliver this, whatever it is, and build this brand?
why did
Why
you
are you sweating? And, and we're doing it for a reason, but sometimes we're not articulate and,
yeah.
and clear, and you help bring the clarity. And the reason I'm talking about this is like Simple Sweet Sites is like a simple sweet name, but it's not simple. It's just like simple as in less than. It's simple as in pulling all of the important things and making the why and the brand clear
Yeah, to
for
fit.
the owner and the consumer,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And culling down like this huge, like my why is ginormous. Like what I'm up to is really big and sometimes hard for me to speak into words because I'm so passionate about empowerment and transformation and creating value for businesses and all this stuff. And then when I try to put that into like, all right, I'm going to have a landing page, there's just too much of a why, and you were able to just pull it together and make it happen. And that's that's what's so great about what you do as your company, and
Thank
we
you.
appreciate you. That's why I invited you on, because anybody that I believe that the more people that get to know you, and if somebody likes my website, well, now they have the secret sauce.
Right.
They can just go find you. And I think that's important, because I think that what you do, especially for the small business owner, it's really valuable because, like you said, $10,000 is not accessible for most of us. Maybe,
Right.
down the road,
Right.
but do we really need that? We're creating these great websites
Mhm.
at a, simpler price point, and that's perfect for me and other small businesses that you've recognized a need and you filled the gap.
Right.
So
Yes. Sometimes those.
bravo.
Thank you. The crazy expensive websites sometimes aren't necessary, especially when you're first starting out. And this is kind of where the industry is changing and things are evolving and we need to adapt. It's just the reality that these great programs such as Wix are available now. I preach highly of Canva, for example, on my Instagram. I really just think that we need to take advantage of these programs that are coming out, and use them. There's nothing wrong with it. And
Right.
so happens that Wix is awesome and I love it. That's
Yes, yes. And
they
it's
create
fully
it.
customizable. And that's it. Like you can plug and play, or you could just create from scratch. And I know that you create the whole thing from the perspective of the client. And I wanted to feature you because what you do is so great for businesses like mine.
Thanks. Yeah,
Yeah.
no two sites will ever look alike. They're definitely not cookie cutter.
Definitely not. Definitely not. And so is there anything else that you wanted to share with, the my uh my following, your following, anybody out there that might want to learn more about you? I'm going to include where to find you, your Instagram feed, all that great information. That'll be at the end of the video. It'll
Okay.
be in the narrative as well. So anybody that wants to contact you can reach out. But is there anything else that you wanted to say as a final, simple, sweet statement?
Yeah, I just think that it's important for us all to remember that there's certain things that are important to kind of just analyze and look at our business and say, okay, this is my responsibility. I'm wearing about 20 to 30 hats right now. What
At
can
least.
I delegate to somebody else? So it's never to let the ego get in the way. You know, there's so many things that we can do and we're very capable of doing, but there's just so many hours in the day, and you need to, my opinion, prioritize self-care. And so when you're taking on too much on your plate, things start to fall off. So long story short, something like, you wouldn't try to file your own taxes for your business. You would go to an accountant for that. You know, there's certain things that it just so much less stressful if you just delegate it to somebody that's taken the time and the training to learn it, and then
Right.
just be above and beyond happy with the product, and you'll be proud of it, and you'll just be so relieved when it's done. So
Exactly.
in any
Exactly.
of our businesses, we have to remember that, me, myself included.
Yeah, no, that's great. And also one other thing that you just made me think of before we wrap up. You just became I don't know how Wix does it. You became an authorized like designer or
Yeah, so there's a Wix partner
that's it. You're a
program.
partner. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yes, I am, and I just leveled up. So there's different levels. So now,
Congratulations. What's your level? What is it? Like, is it a title or?
yeah, it's called Icon. So what that basically is you reach a level high enough to basically have a representative with Wix, and that's when I become like when you go to Wix and you say hire a professional. Now I'm one of those professionals.
Wonderful. So people can find you via Wix as well.
Yes.
Anywhere. Like, and what's the beauty of website design is all of this can be done remotely.
Yes. Yeah.
So you could do it in person
that we're
because yeah, like if you're local and you want to, you know, sit down and kind of go over the laptop together, you could do that. But I think we started doing this when things might have been shutting down. I don't remember. But we did everything remotely. And so it's possible you could serve anybody anywhere.
Very possible. Yes,
Yeah.
really. It's been local, but it could be anywhere in the country.
Yeah. And could it be international?
I don't see why not, because Wix is international. So
Yeah. So there you go. So anybody that has the ability to connect with you somehow via telecommunication, phone, Zoom, Google, what is it? Google Meet.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Cool. That's awesome. So
Thank you.
any of the photographers that follow me that need to have a stunning website, they get to hire you because you're awesome.
Thank you so
And
much.
it's not limited to photographers, but I know that I have a big photography worldwide following. So
Cool.
they can reach you because you do a great job and you understand the value of great images. So it's awesome.
Thank you so much. Hello, photography world.
Welcome, Sarah. So thank you so much for coming. I hope you had fun today.
Thank you for having me. This has been so much fun. I love doing things like this. So.
Okay, great. Yeah, it was great to have you. I know that I will see you soon because we get to spend extra time building our businesses together and our networking and things like that. But keep up your amazing work. Congratulations on leveling up.
Thank you.
And keep going. I know that there's incredible things for you in the future.
Thank you so much, Dawn. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And have a great afternoon and talk to you soon.
Bye.